I was diagnosed with inattentive ADHD when I was 6 years old. And from that moment, my life changed forever. At the same exact time, my parents were divorcing. And it still hits me to even talk about. But I felt so depressed. And little did I know that would be the best thing to ever happen to me. My parents would put me on medication, Ritalin and Adderall, and I would really hope that they would help me with my ADHD because I couldn't focus in school. I was procrastinating on everything. I was completely disorganized, no concept of time, and I had massive depression and anxiety. It was hard to even like myself. Everywhere I went, my teachers, everybody would tell me there's something wrong with me, where they'd say, you're broken, you're not doing this or that right, you have to try harder, what's wrong with you? Like, Nick's not trying, he's being lazy. The more I heard it, it made me feel like, I don't know, I believed them. I felt like there was something so wrong with me. Even when medication prescribed by a doctor, it still didn't work for me. It didn't change the story that I was really hoping I could finally get control over. When I finally got over depression, I did still struggle massively with ADHD. It didn't get better, it only got worse. And then something happened I did not expect. It'd been about 7 or 8 years. I was a freshman in high school, and back then there was something called MySpace. If you remember what that is, if you're old enough to know what that is. And I saw people that I was just adding as friends or just new people that were saying depressing things. They were depressed massively, saying that they were stuck where they were, that they were anxious, so many things. And I couldn't help myself but to say, I know how they feel. I at least can talk to them. I don't have much to offer, but at least I can try. So there was this one guy, I saw his post and I messaged him. I said, hey man, I just want to let you know that you're not alone. I have depression too, and I'm here to talk anytime. What I didn't know was that conversation would change the entire course of my life and how I perceived ADHD. A few weeks later, talking back and forth to this guy every day, I don't even know him. He started telling me things I didn't expect. He would tell me, thank you so much for saying this and that. His family would reach out to me and say, hey, what did you do? He's so different, I don't even recognize him. He's smiling more, he's happy, reaching his goals. And I said, I don't know. I'm no better than he is. I have no value to offer at all. And I really believed that. And what happened was people would start reaching out and asking for advice. And I'd say, I don't know. I just was present with the guy. I realized there's 2 reasons why he started to perform really well. One was because I was in the same situation as him. I was depressed, he was depressed. And it wasn't like me trying to forcefully tell him, hey, go live your life by being your best. No, I told him life sucks. Like, I'm sorry, I felt the same way. I was upset. I was pissed off at the world, and I was in a low place, and I just wanted to share that with someone, and he felt the exact same way. The second thing that helped was just being present with him. So many people say, I'm so sorry for your loss and all that, and they try and send uplifting quotes, but sometimes when you're in a low place, all you really want, the only thing that really makes a difference is just having someone sit there with you and just listen and not even really say much. The only times I would really say anything to him was when, I don't know, he asked, or when we were just connecting and I would just kind of tell my story. If he'd said something and I'd say, oh, I had something similar too, and like, it felt this way. And so how did I go from this random depressed guy reaching out to other depressed people to an executive functioning specialist? Well, more and more people would hit me up that were going through hard times. All kinds of different things, social anxiety, depression, all things that I was experienced in, that I was not an expert in at all, but that I had the heart to share my experiences with, or to listen to, and that I was interested in, passionate about hearing other people go through. I'd talk to people on the phone I'd never met. I'd talk to friends that I hadn't known were in hard places. And I did that for 12 years just because I loved it, because I felt like for the first time in my life, I had value to give when I never thought I had value. And in fact, I thought I was the reason my parents broke up and that love didn't exist in the world. And I really believed that for so long. But little did I know exactly what I was doing was giving love to people, when I thought I had none to give. As someone with ADHD, I'm sure you understand the struggle of jobs, like just career jobs, doing something you like and getting paid well for it. So I couldn't do 9 to 5. So instead, I would rather work 7 freelance jobs, which I did all at once. And I still barely scraped by, like not even some months. But one day I said, you know what? The only thing that I can really see myself doing all the time is coaching people, helping lift people up, giving people hope. But how can I turn that into a career, and what would I do with it? I'm gonna be upfront with this. I paid over $50,000 over the next 10 years to coaches, business coaches, life coaches, all kinds of people, because I was desperate to spend money I didn't even have. I had to keep borrowing just so I can keep making moves, just to try to get out of where I was, because I was struggling every month, every year. I started my practice and I was excited. I was just a random life coach, just helping people with random issues. I remember my first client that I charged was $400 for 3 months of coaching, like total, $400. I didn't get much out of it financially, but it did help me mold myself to go into a direction I wanted to go into. And I kept coaching people in different areas. And then one day, I paid the most money I ever paid. There was this one coach that I was charging, I think it was like $10,000. I didn't have $10,000. So she said to me, she's this business guru, and she said, well, if you can't pay $10,000 up front, we can spread it out throughout 6 months, and you can pay $12,500. It's going to cost more, but you can spread it out. So I did that because I had no other option. And I had to keep, of course, borrowing money, but working really hard for money. And I just worked 12-hour days most days. And honestly, I didn't get a whole lot out of it, except one thing, one tiny little bit of advice. One question, really. So I showed up to one of the group meetings one day and I said, I'm stuck. I have bought Sam Ovens courses for consulting, life coaches to help me out. I've paid so much money. I don't know what to do. No one's been able to tell me what to do, what kind of coach I can be. I don't even know. I just want to help people. And then they brought up one question and they said, who is it that you were that needed the most help? And at first I thought, well, depression, but people going through depression a lot of times, they're struggling financially, and also I don't feel good about charging a depressed person. I just don't want to do that. So they said, list off other struggles that you've had in the past that you've overcome. I thought about it and I realized, well, I have ADHD. I used to really struggle with that, and I know a lot more than I thought I did. And it really just dawned on me. And they said, well, why don't you just be an ADHD coach? And I said, what's that? I don't even know what that is. Why would anyone pay someone to talk to them about ADHD? Is that really a thing? And I did some research and found out how much people needed help. And I had no idea. Honestly, I went through most of my life believing that most people didn't even have ADHD. I felt completely alone in it. all my classes when I was a kid, being the only person with ADHD in every school I went to, and I changed school every 2 to 3 years. So it really just dawned on me, wow, hold on, I'm not alone? And then it started to get bigger and bigger on YouTube. I'd see more people posting about ADHD, and I was like, wow, people care now? Like when I was a kid, if you had ADHD, people just say you're lazy, try harder, and get over it. Get on meds, you're done. It was very unempathetic. I just had no idea this was a thing. I thought I was that broken, where I was honestly one of the few rare people in the world with ADHD. Little did I know, so many people have ADHD, and more people are finding out that they have ADHD than ever today. Overdiagnosed or not. Before, when I was a kid, it was underdiagnosed. So I found this counselor who was looking for ADHD coaches to start her business with. I did that for about 2 years, and I coached a ton of people. I told her I'd already coached people on depression, anxiety, social anxiety, some executive functioning, and she trained me, took her under her wing, and I learned more from her. And I got to the point where I was coaching so many people that I had no time at all to do anything else, right? And at that point, I had coached every client I'd had to 2 to 10x their productivity and their executive functioning. And I knew that because in the beginning, I would ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about your executive functioning? And I'd also ask them at the end, and they would always tell me incredible numbers. So I would find out this was actually something really valuable, and I'd see them change in their workplace. They'd make more money than they've ever made. They'd be stronger in their relationships with communication and more intentional. with what they do, how they talk to their spouses. There was just no area it didn't impact, and it was amazing to me. So I went all out and made my company Master ADHD Now a few years before that, but I really started to double down. And what helped me learn how to master my executive functioning was just failing a lot, but taking the failure and turning it into a lesson and applying and reapplying and just being resilient and adaptable. I implement a lot of depression coaching strategies that help them boost their emotional regulation a lot. And I realized that our expectations are tied so much to the end result. And I found that my clients do really well the moment that they let go of that. I tell them, keep your goals high, lower your expectations, your life will change completely, forever. You'll be able to actually reach those goals. So what I would tell them is, where you are right now is the exact formula to reach the exact results you're getting right now. So you can't expect the version of you right now to reach those results you want that you're not hitting, because you don't even know what they are. So why would you set expectations so high saying, I expect to be up here, even though the formula I live every day and only know is the one that keeps me down here? So letting go of expectations is actually the most important step to progress that I have seen. What it does is it helps you focus instead on the system and on being more intentional. Those are the only two things that I've really seen improve people's executive functioning, because the truth is, we fight for the executive functioning to be better, or we fight to get rid of the problem, but in reality, there's no magic pill that's going to change those things. And executive functioning isn't even the problem. You don't actually struggle with focus or follow through or disorganization. Those aren't your problems. Those are the effects of the real problem. Your house can be falling apart completely from the inside, and you hear creaking and the wood just keeps snapping, and you think, wow, the house is just really crappy. You get an inspector to come over and they inspect the house. They know what to look for, and they say, your house isn't even that old. There's not really a problem with the house. You have termites, and the termites are causing the wood to break. So that's how I've learned to see where the struggle really is. Because if you focus on chopping the tail off of the beast, it's not really going to do anything. You have to chop off the head. So from what I have found that really helps executive functioning isn't even focusing on executive functioning. It's focusing on two things. One, your systems that you use every single day with your habits, how often you do those habits, recurring habits, principles about your life, being more consistent. And the second thing is being more intentional, just focusing on what's actually important and how to do things with purpose, zooming out, seeing the whole picture, and instead of just focusing on the one little fidget toy right here, I'm focusing on my entire desk and seeing how I can use all of it to my advantage and how I can be what's needed for all of it. And one other thing that really helped me was just stop focusing on trying to always get something out of something. And instead I switched to trying to be what was needed. That would actually lower my expectations naturally and just force me to want to be a better character and become the kind of person that actually gets those results. It just made life easier, and I got more patient with myself. It felt like just part of the process of life, just to keep working on myself. And there was no point where I would feel like a failure anymore. Because of that, it would be easy not to get depressed because I wouldn't attack myself. When you let go of expectations, it's really hard to see yourself as a failure, because there's nothing to fall down from. I'm just constantly working. I'm here for the process, and that's it. I'm here to be what's needed, and I don't really know what that looks like, and I accept that and understand that. I just see my results as the results of what I'm doing. And if I want my results to be better, then I gotta change something about what I'm doing, and being stressed or worried, anxious, or upset isn't going to help me at all. Like, I'll let myself feel, but at the same time, I give myself a lot of time to do it, and then I just move on. So if you are in this place where you just want to master executive functioning, you're struggling with your job, your relationships, getting things done at home that you just for some reason cannot get done, I made this video just for you. Like my video and subscribe to this channel if you found this helpful. And if you want help on your executive functioning, I have a lot of free tools and ADHD coaching in my link below. Feel free to hit me up. for a free call. And I would genuinely love to hear in the comments what you thought, if this helped you. I would love to hear if you have shared any similar experiences to me. Later, neighbors.